I'm broken, but I will heal. I did heal after a 6-long-year relationship, the ending of which totally blindsided me and I did not see coming, even though maybe I should have. I was devastated. I didn't think I could get through it. It felt like this was the end. But I made it. I healed, and I want to give you some advice, or at least tell you what I did, something I did that helped me to move forward. Heartbreak is one of those words that I think that everybody feels a little bit differently about. They have a different definition for it for them. For me, heartbreak incorporates some feeling of loss. That's something that we loved, something that we were holding on to, something that we desire is moving away from us. And I definitely felt that at the end of this last relationship that I had, which was a couple of years ago, and that's why I'm able to talk about it now. When my ex broke up with me, we were still living together, and we stayed together, living together for a few months. That was really hard. It's really hard to feel like something's moving away from you, but you're still in the same house. Not only were we still living together, but we were also attending therapy, and although he had made clear that we were breaking up and that's what he desired, it was very confusing to me because we had gone through this a few times in the relationship before where he wanted to break up, but we still patched things up. So in my mind, this was just another hurdle that we had to get through. This was just one more bump in the road, and although it felt like a more serious bump, and I was committed to doing the work that I needed to do, my heart was breaking because he was slowly pulling away, but sometimes coming home, and sometimes speaking with me, but sometimes not. And it was this back and forth of feeling like my heart was breaking in little pieces, one by one by one. I was actually going through some old emails from around that time today, and I noticed that a lot of times I was getting mixed signals about what was going on. When I would ask direct questions, I wasn't getting direct answers, and that was playing with my mind and it was playing with my heart. So naturally, my heart was torn in two. I kept trying to figure out, what am I supposed to do here? What will get me what I want, and what will get him what he wants, and how can we have a relationship between the two of us as it stands? So what I did, like anybody would do, is I looked for support and I asked a bunch of friends, like, what did they think? And they told me some things I didn't want to hear. They told me some things that I was confused about. I asked the therapist we were seeing about things, and again, sometimes I wouldn't get direct answers, or sometimes people would hold back, and most of the time I would get conflicting information. Some people would want me to do one thing, some people would want me to do another thing. I would want to do one thing, I would want to do another thing, and people were giving me hope, people were telling me not to have hope. I had no idea what to do. And in the middle of this, my heart is being like ripped all over the place, trying to figure out what do I do here? I would have days where I was really hopeful. I would wake up excited and I knew what I was going to do for the day, and I had objectives, and I just felt good. I felt like, okay, I'm getting somewhere. Wherever it was that I decided that day I was going, I felt like I was getting. But then by the end of the day, I was deflated. I was on the floor. I was crying. I was upset. I felt like there was no way that I could ever get through this. It was horrible. What I'm trying to stress here is that constant back and forth and hopefulness and desperation all the time always kept me in a place where I never fully experienced a loss, because I was going up and down. There was no complete loss. And truthfully, I didn't want to feel a complete loss. And to make things even more complicated, I wasn't being given the full truth from my ex. Whenever I would ask him questions, I wouldn't get direct answers, or I would just blatantly get lies. So I was constantly trying to reach out to our therapist to get more information, to get help, to try to wrap my head around things. And in the process, I had a lot of agonizing nights and agonizing days just floating in my own heartbreak. Ultimately, it was something that the therapist started bringing to my attention that helped me along with this heartbreak. I don't even know if she realized that she did it, but she was telling me that maybe I could express some of my anger, that underneath anger is pain, which I already knew. Not always we express it as pain, but it's there. Sometimes we're just angry. I get angry all the time. But she was saying that it's okay to express that pain. There were times when I was talking with friends or talking with my partner or even with a therapist, and I didn't want to say how I was really feeling because I didn't want to upset them, and I didn't want them to move further away from me because I was already perceiving so much loss in my life. I couldn't handle more loss. But by not expressing myself and what I was feeling and letting people know the complete and full truth of how I thought about the things that they were suggesting and how they were treating me, I was not getting out of that place of heartbreak. I was completely frozen, like crystallized in time. I really had to start listening to myself. And when something didn't feel right, when I was angry about something, when I was sad about something, I had to let the person I was talking with know, hey, I don't like when you say that to me. Hey, I think you're kind of a dick when you do that. You know what? I don't think I want to talk with you for a while. Even if I didn't express that verbally, sometimes I just had to block somebody or let things go, let things slide, and let relationships start to fade away because I realized they weren't good for my mental health. Not being true to myself and not honoring my feelings is what was keeping me in that heartbreak until I acknowledged how I felt and expressed it to the people who I needed to express it to. I was never going to move on. What are you not expressing that needs to be expressed? Leave that down below in the comments.